Andrew Cuomo just resigned from his position as the governor of the state of New York.
And I think that given the circumstances, the best way I can help now is if I step aside and let government get back to governing. And therefore, that's what I'll do. Because I work for you. And doing the right thing is doing the right thing for you. And my resignation will be effective in 14 days.
His resignation comes after increasing calls for his impeachment over a number of scandals, chief among them allegations of sexual harassment. But now that he's resigned, can he still be impeached? Coming up on Legal Bytes. Hey everyone, welcome to Legal Bytes. I'm Alyte, I'm a lawyer, and on this channel we explain the law one bite at a time. So the short answer as to whether or not Andrew Cuomo can still be impeached is yes, and here's why. Article 6, Section 24 of the New York State Constitution governs the impeachment of public officials in the state of New York. According to that provision, an impeachment conviction can have two results. The first is to remove that official from office, and the second one is to prevent them from ever holding state office again. So while a public official who has already resigned from office obviously can't be removed from office, they can still be prevented from holding either that position or really any other position in state government again. And here's what that process would look like. Currently, the Assembly Judiciary Committee is in the process of going through a pre-impeachment investigation, and they're basically looking at four main issues. The first, of course, is the issue that's been catching the attention of all the major headlines for at least the last several weeks, and that is the allegations of sexual harassment against Governor Cuomo. The second issue is his handling of patients in nursing homes in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. The third issue is whether or not he improperly used state funds in order to write and promote a memoir on the COVID-19 pandemic. And finally, the investigation is looking into whether or not his administration covered up structural problems with the Governor Mario M. Cuomo Bridge. So after the Assembly Judiciary Committee is finished with their investigation, they'll determine whether or not they recommend impeachment. So if they do recommend impeachment, impeachment of a governor looks a lot like impeachment of a president. What happens first is a resolution goes to the Assembly to determine whether or not they want to impeach him. In the New York State Assembly, a simple majority is enough to impeach him. After that impeachment, the issue goes to the Senate, where they have a trial and determine whether or not to convict him on impeachment. In that trial, the jury is made up of most of the members of the Senate and the 7 judges on the Court of Appeals, which is New York's highest court. I say most of the members of the Senate because there are 2 individuals who are not allowed to vote because of a potential conflict of interest. Those are the Lieutenant Governor of the state and the President pro tempore of the Senate. The reason for that is because if there is a vacancy in the governor's office, then the lieutenant governor becomes the governor and the president pro tempore becomes the lieutenant governor. So let's look at the numbers in the Assembly and in the Senate in New York. There are 150 Assembly members in the state of New York. 106 of them are Democrats, 43 are Republicans, and 1 is an independent. So in order to impeach, they have to reach a simple majority, which means at least 76 members of the Assembly voting in favor of impeachment. Because Governor Cuomo is a Democrat, we can assume that probably most or every single Republican in the Assembly would probably vote for impeachment. That means there would need to be at least 33 members that are either Democrat or that 1 independent in order to impeach. So if he's impeached there, it goes on to the Senate. There are 63 members of the New York State Senate. 43 are Democrats and 20 are Republicans. One of those Democrats is Andrea Stewart Cousins, who is the president pro tempore of the Senate, so she can't vote, which means that there are 62 senators who would be voting. Add to that the 7 judges of the Court of Appeals, and you have 69 total votes. And because they need 2/3 of the jury in order to convict, that means that 46 members of the Senate plus the Court of Appeals judges would need to vote to convict. Again, assuming that all Republicans would be voting to convict, that would be 20 votes right there. And that would mean that the other 26 votes would need to be picked up by some combination of the Democratic senators and the 7 judges on the Court of Appeals. So obviously, in order to impeach and convict the governor, they would still need bipartisan support. And under normal circumstances, that would seem fairly unlikely given the fact that New York is a Democratic stronghold. However, prior to his resignation, polling on voters has shown that somewhere between 55 and 59% of them have actually been in favor of his resignation or impeachment. And as far as the New York State legislators are concerned, the Associated Press recently reported that something like 86 out of 150 of the state assembly members were in favor of impeachment. Now, obviously, that sentiment could change now that he's resigned, but it is admittedly pretty rare to see that amount of bipartisan support for something like impeachment in a state like New York, especially when you consider that in the entire history of the state of New York, only one governor has ever been impeached, and that was back in 1913. But what do you guys think? Now that he's resigned, should Governor Cuomo still be impeached and prevented from ever holding office in the state of New York again? Let us know in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope you found this interesting or at least informative, and if you did, we'd love it if you'd hit the like button. It does help us with YouTube algorithm gods. And if you enjoyed this and you want to see more content like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you can find out when the next video is uploaded. See you in the next video.